Hello all, welcome to my channel. Today we will learn in this video introduction to programming and the most popular language, that is called C programming language. First of all, introduction to programming. Why we need programming? Programming is what? Nothing. Basically a set of instructions which we give to the computer to execute. The main thing is what? Basically, suppose this is our computer. Now this computer or the machine understands only the binary language. Computer works in the machine language, zeros and ones. That is called also the binary language. 0 1 0 1 0 1, and this is the language of computer. But if we want the computer to work some computational work, if we want to execute some statements from the computer, then how can we give that instruction to the computer in any language, like which is our language, like English or Hindi? But computer doesn't understand English or Hindi, whatever. Computer understands only what? The binary language. I am the user, I want to add two numbers. This is my computational work. I want to give this computational work to the computer. But can computer understand the statement? No. Why no? Because computer works only in the machine language, 0 1 0 1 0 1. But we are totally unable to write the code in zeros and ones. Why? Because it is computer architecture, because all the machine language is dependent upon computer architecture. Computer to computer it is different. Then how we will give computer any task to do? Then we need what? The programming language. Now the programming language is what? Basically a set of instructions. These are the set of instructions. They must have some syntax. First of all, what? They must have some syntax. Syntax means where you have to put semicolon, where you have to write the declaration, where you have to include the header file. This is called what? The syntax. Next is what? The keywords. What are the keywords you need to use? What are the rules? Some rules must be in the programming language. Say fourth one is what is the internal libraries and the compiler or interpreter. Now the set of instructions which you want to execute from the computer are called what? The programming or code. Now this code has to follow these things. It must have some syntax, must have some keywords, must have to follow some rules where we need to declare the variables, where we need to include the header files and all. Some libraries should be there to execute the internal files or functions, and the compiler or interpreter which can convert this code into the machine level language. This is if these all characteristics are in a particular code, that is called what? A programming language. Now programming languages are of two types. First is what? Low level language and high level language. Low level languages are of like machine language and assembly language. Now the programming languages are of two types. First is what? The low level language, and second is high level language. Low level languages are what? Basically which are very close to the hardware, like machine language or binary language, that is in the forms of zeros 1 0 1 and 0 1 and all. Basically if it is in zeros and ones, then computer can easily understand this language. Second is what? The assembly language, that partially uses the hardware to write the program. Like if you want to add two numbers A and B, then you have to store it in registers A, add B and all. Assembly language is nothing, it is basically a collection of mnemonics. Like if you want to add two numbers, A add B, and you have to store these variables into the registers also. That's why we are calling it as a low level language, because you cannot develop too much complicated programs in assembly level language. Next is what? High level language. In high level language, you will get language, you have two type of languages. First is what? Procedural programming or structured programming language, and second is object oriented programming language. In procedural programming language you have C, and in procedural programming language or structured programming language, the C is a procedural programming language. Object oriented programming languages are C++, Java, .NET language, C#, ASP.NET and all. These are what? The object oriented programming language. C is the first high level language, that is procedural programming language, that is developed by Dennis Ritchie. Now C is what? Basically a high level language which is procedural or structured programming language. C is a high level language which is procedural or structured programming language. So now what is structured or procedural programming language, we will discuss further. It is developed by Dennis Ritchie at AT&T Bell Labs in 1972. The whole Unix operating, have you heard about Unix operating system? It's a very strong operating system which is totally written in C programming language. And in 1989, the C was standardized by ANSI. ANSI. After that, it became ANSI-C. C is the language which is the successor of B language. Before C, B language was developed. After that, the C was developed. C is the language which is called like the mother of all the languages. If you know C, if you know the syntax, if you are able to write the programs in C, you can easily learn all the further languages, because it will be very easy to understand the syntax of other languages also, because this have all the basic concepts. Like if you want to speak in English, you have to learn what? The ABCD. If you know the ABCD, you are completely able to design or frame the sentences also. Same here. If you know the C, you can further go with object-oriented programming languages also. Now, how C works? When you write any program in C, that is called what? Source code. After that, when you compile your program, then it becomes what? Object code. The extension of source code is .c in C. The object code .c or .o or .obj. Whatever code which is written by the user is called the source code. In any language, either C or C++ or Java, you need to say, I have written a source code. By default, the extension of the C program is .c. When you compile your program, compile means to convert the source code into the low level code. Then it becomes what? The object code. Object code, the extension of object code is .o or .obj depending upon the compiler. Next is what? If you when you run the program, then it becomes what? The executable code .exe. Once you create the executable code, you can execute it as many times as you can. Next thing is, when you run the program, this time linker links all the library files, header files, functions, whatever you are going to use in your program, links here, and then it will execute. If some file is not found, then it will not execute the program. This is called what? The runtime error. Fine. Now the next thing is what compiler does. Compiler basically, if you have this program .c, this is what? computer which executes the this is C program. This is in high level language. Computer understands the machine language. Then you need what? Some converter which can convert your program into computer language. Then that computer converter is what? Basically a compiler here. Compiler basically checks the whole program. If it is fine and error free, then it will convert that program into the object code that is close to the machine level language. This is the work of compiler here. Compiler plays the very important role in C programming language. Now I hope you get the information about the C programming language, high level language, low level language, and the converter, the source code, object code and all. In next video we will discuss about the first program of C. If you like my video, please press like button, do comment and subscribe my channel so that you can get the benefit of my upcoming videos also. Till then, bye.